What is up, people of the internet? It is me, Real American Politics, back in with a new video, and today, it is time that we do another poll watch video. That is right, folks. We're doing a very controversial poll watch because this poll has made waves. Because if this is remotely true, the red wave is much bigger than expected. Now, if you don't know, Trafalgar, one of the best pollsters in America, released a poll a couple days ago in New York. And what does it show? Lee Zeldin, the Republican, is only down by 4.5 points. Now, at first when I saw this, I thought somebody was pulling my leg. I thought this was a meme. I did not really think this was real. But it was a real poll conducted by Trafalgar. And I originally thought, okay, let's just, throw it out the window. But then I started looking at other polls, and I started realizing a noticeable trend. There is something brewing in New York. And again, I'm not saying, Republicans will win this race. If they do win this race, well, it's going to be one of the biggest red waves ever, if that's the case. But with Trafalgar, we'll get to it. Now, before I forget, of course, I hope you enjoy these type of videos. If you do, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit the little bell, and yes, of course, go follow the mysterious Twitter account in the description down below. And also join the channel. That is right, folks, for just 10 cents a day, you can join Real American Politics. I recommend you do it. And alright, enough promotions, let's get right into it. So, New York, this once great state of New York, is a fairly Democrat state. I don't think I gotta say much. Biden won this state by around 23 points. And there is actually some room for improvement for Republicans in the state of New York. That's the thing about New York that's always been kind of weird. If you don't know, New York City obviously is where all the frickin' votes are. Once again, they're all in frickin' Brooklyn, Queens, etc. But here's the thing, though, about New York. That's not really the problem. The problem is upstate New York. I'm going to say one thing. This should be blood red. Look, I know that this is the Northeast. These voters are not going to be, as conservative as those in, rural Arkansas. But still, there's a lot of working class whites in the state of New York that, well, they still vote Democrat. And even with Trump, we did see some swings in upstate New York. Now, in 2020, a lot of these places kind of reversed. Now, is that because of, COVID? We gotta see. I really do think that this fall, we're gonna really see if the trends we saw in 2020 in New York were real. Because if you remember, in New York City, we had some surprising moves towards the right. I mean, Queens trumped the great in Brooklyn, Manhattan, etc. These were some of the best vote shares Republicans have gotten in years. And we just got to see if this is a consistent trend. We also saw this in the mayor race. As everybody knows, Eric Adams struggled in the same regions that Trump did way better in. So there is some proof to say there is some movement in New York. Now, again, I'm not saying it's going to be a Republican state, but there is some vote shares for Republicans to do better. I mean, Long Island, come on, this is freaking pathetic. I mean, seriously, you only won that county by basically 200 votes. That's rookie numbers. And again, upstate New York. I'm not expecting, rural Arkansas. I'm expecting a lot of these counties, which there are precincts. I mean, look at Buffalo. There's a lot of working class voters in Erie County that vote Democrat. There is room to grow for the Republicans in the state of New York. Obviously, there's a ton of room, in fact. Now, will it ever become, a toss-up state? No. But there is room to grow for down-ballot races, potentially a Senate race in the long future. But that's not about all. We gotta talk about the governorship. And this is the thing that's really confusing about this poll. So, everybody thought this was crazy, and at first I thought it was so. Then I looked at the other polls. I was like, okay, what are the other polls showing? Then I realized something. The Hooch she's not doing that good. Now, on paper, she's winning by a wide margin, yes, but look at where she's at. 51, 53, 48, 48, 55, and we have proof in Survey USA. I mean, Survey USA, give me a frickin' break. But point is, every other poll except that one poll shows that the hooch is actually struggling by a lot. She's not, getting 60% or anything like that. She's like mid to low 50s at best. That's why Zeldin has a higher chance of winning. Now, don't take this out of context. Zeldin's still going to lose this race. But there is some evidence to say he has a higher shot of winning than you would originally expect. Now, the question with Zeldin is, how the hell can he actually win? I mean, come on. It's New York. Well, there is something for the state of New York to go Republican. There is some path. It has happened in the past. But in my opinion, it all starts in Long Island. This is Zeldin's homeland. This is the bread and butter of Zeldin. If you don't know, some of the biggest counties in the state of New York, all right, Nassau and Suffolk, they are Republican-leaning counties traditionally. Now, they've been trending a bit away from Republicans in recent years. But somebody like Zeldin, I swear he can run it up in these areas. He's from the area. He's well-liked in the region. And that's how Republicans could really crack down this vote share. That's kind of the big issue. I mean, with New York, yes, New York City, but it's like, you really dig deep into it. New York's not, I would say, 100% controlled by New York City. It's still fairly under the grasp of it. But if Republicans can run it up in the Long Island region, it still wouldn't be enough. Republicans also had to find a way to pick off a lot of these blue counties. You have to win Erie County. My opinion, Erie County is a good parameter for northern New York. I mean, Trump almost won it. I mean, he only lost by 6.5 points. If you win a place like Erie, or come close to, do good in a place like Monroe, which there is some evidence to say kind of the bellwether. I mean, it's kind of the exact margin as the state was. But if you could do places like the Syracuse region, etc., but you also got to win. You got to get these pink counties to be dark red, and then in New York City, you need to find a way to have turnout incredibly terrible, or you somehow dwarf Trump's margins. That's the only way it's possible. But again, it is theoretically possible for Republicans to do better here. I mean, Long Island has a lot of votes that somebody like Zeldin, he can run it up in that region. And there's a lot of votes up here that originally I don't think would have ever voted Republican, even for Trump. But when they saw what happened with the education crap, with the loans, like, hey, by the way, we're going to forgive all these student loans except the schmucks that paid for it. Based on what I've heard and the polling I've actually seen, this is pissing off a lot of people, especially in a place like upstate New York. And again, I'm not saying this is going to be like blood red as Arkansas, but there is room to say, hey, a place like Essex County, a more rural northern county, could potentially swing towards the right, right? It did in 2016, 2020, we gotta see what happened. But there is evidence to say Republicans have a shot of getting closer here. Again, they won't win it, but there's a shot here. And people doubting Trafalgar, remember, they were one of the only, if not the only pollster to say New Jersey's governor's race was going to be within the margin of error. And look what happened. It was in the margin of error. So take what you will with Trafalgar's poll, but based on the other polling data, there is some evidence to say the hooch, she's struggling. Anyways, folks, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share it with your friends, hit that little bell, and yes, of course, go follow the mysterious Twitter account in the description down below. And, yeah, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you guys in the next video. Godspeed to all of you.